Everyone wants to be enlightened. But most of what passes for enlightenment is just ego dressed in robes. True awakening doesn't say, I am special. It whispers, I am nothing. And in that nothing, I am God. Yesterday, someone came into the place where I work, a place of knowledge and art. He spoke of spiritual things, of chanting during certain moon phases, of staying away from sugar, and even showed me a scan of his brain, bragging about the size of his brain. He said he was deeply spiritual, and yet, while we talked, he barely listened. It wasn't arrogance that bothered me. It was the emptiness behind the words. And to be honest, I checked myself too. Was it my pride rising up? No. There was no emotion. No need to win the point. Just a quiet awareness that something sacred was being missed. I'm still working on cutting the threads that pull me out of self-recognition. The self that is not the body, not the mind, but awareness itself. And the phrases I sometimes share in these conversations, they aren't mine. They are the echoes of teaching moments from the truly self-realized. Nisargadatta, Ramana Maharshi, others who walked far beyond the illusion of ego. There is this temptation, almost automatic, to seek validation for how enlightened we think we are. Being self-impressed isn't enlightenment. It's spiritual narcissism. St. John of the Cross warned about this centuries ago. And I know it because I've seen it in myself. Millions have died in the name of the same delusion, spiritual pride. We're lucky if all were called as jerks. But pride in the realm of spirit is poison. It blinds the eye that would otherwise see God in all. The visitor said that he practiced something called Islam, a Christian reading the Quran. He bragged about winning an argument over an Arabic translation of the line in Quran, more pride, more noise. I mentioned that to me, the position of Grand Master in our fraternity symbolizes becoming as God, as written in Revelations 3:21, when Jesus is telling St. John, "To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat with my Father on his throne." That verse reveals the destiny of consciousness, to evolve to the highest seat of divine being. It mirrors the Hindu belief in the soul's ascent into the Godhead, the Mormon belief in the divine progression, and the eternal truth whispered by all wisdom traditions, that the end of the journey is not worship, but union. He quoted a verse from the Quran that didn't seem to quite fit the topic, so he asked about the Islamic view of Jesus, not as a challenge, but as an inquiry. He admitted that he hadn't read that far. That moment, he listened, and for that I respected him. Most interpret the Quran, as I am told, that Jesus didn't die on the cross and that he wasn't divine. Because the real point isn't about dogma, it's about recognition. The recognition of what we are. When I studied at the School of Practical Philosophy, one of my tutors told me something that I've never forgotten. He said that every soul is a spark of the divine, reincarnated again and again until it realizes its own divinity and breaks free of the cycle. I asked him, so who was Jesus? He replied, I can't say who he was. I can only tell you what I understand to be true. And if that works for you, that's wonderful. He told me that Jesus was an avatar, one who had fully realized his divinity in a past life, died, became one with God, and out of compassion returned as God to show man the way. That's the key difference between Christianity and Eastern thought. Christianity sees only one divine son. The East sees many manifestations. Ram, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, each reflecting the same eternal light. When I brought that up, the man said, "We are the lesser Yahweh," a reference from the book of Enoch. He wasn't wrong, but he wasn't listening either. In Enoch's story, a man perfect purity is taken into heaven without dying. He evolves first into an angel, and then to an archangel, and finally into Metatron, called the Lesser Yahweh. That title corresponds exactly to the position of Jesus in Christian theology, one who sits beside the Father reflecting the same glory. The lesson isn't about hierarchy, it's about oneness of all existence. There is no lesser or greater Yahweh. All there is Yahweh. The truth is, to say I am God is arrogance. The truth is, God is I. Why then has this highest truth been hidden or feared? Partly for power, but mostly out of caution, because misusing this truth is disastrous. The ancient rabbis said God banished Adam and Eve not because of his cruelty, but because he saw that they could not control their inclination towards evil. Humanity wasn't ready to wield divinity responsibly, and perhaps we still aren't. But that's the work of our age, to remember without abusing, to awaken without arrogance, to unite without erasing the sacred mystery of individuality. And so the mystery goes on, the divine and the individual, inseparable, infinite, and yet ever evolving. I'll end with a verse from the Ramayana, reworded by Ramdas. When Ram, the incarnation of God, asked his servant, "Who are you?" Hanuman replied, "When I forget who I am, I serve you. When I remember, I am you."